This weekend, we got invited to the European GT Championships. We've just finished up at the Gravel World Champs. John and I are pretty firmly tired at this point, so this was going to be quite a nice off-season activity. Going to a motor racing event, which happened to be not that far from where I live. It was literally a no-brainer. So the weekend started with a pretty early start on the Saturday. John and I drove up.
This is my new car for the weekend. Mercedes GLE Coupe. What we've always wanted.
On the radio.
Immediately we got there, we picked up the lanyards, which gives us all access to the paddock, pit lane, podium, hospitality as well, supplied by SRO, who are the organizers of this race. John and I got there, firmly had about 6 coffees when we arrived, which was great. We met up with Noreen, who was going to be taking us around.
Hi.
This is Noreen.
No, I'm not camera shy.
Took us into this British racing team called Barwell Motorsports. We spoke to this driver called Sandy.
I'm Sandy Mitchell, Lamborghini factory driver, driving the Dama Fortuna 78 car this weekend. So just done qualifying, we're 4th in class and then racing late this afternoon. So yeah, showing the guys around a little bit more about the car and getting ready for the race later today.
And we're going to show them around Girona.
Yeah,
Exactly, that's what's going to happen.
Most of the drivers who are racing in the GT championships have been in karts since they were super young. Sandy did a phenomenal job of explaining about the car, how he got into the sport, where he is now. He's a pretty well-respected driver in his team. After every race, drivers would drive into their like a separate spot, the drivers that had won their race. Drive into where the podium was, they'd congratulate their team, then they would head upstairs, go to the podium, basically spray champagne. There was not just GT3s, there was GT2s, Lamborghini Trafole, I believe it's pronounced, which is a strictly Lamborghini series. You had the same from McLaren. This pretty much happened a lot of the time. So this just kept repeating during the day. And this also happened for qualifying, which basically positioned the drivers on the grid. If you've watched Formula One racing, it was pretty similar to that, just lots of that during the day. We actually got to go on the grid whilst all the cars are being parked there. We actually got to walk through. Then they actually put me in the lead car, which was this surprise experience, which was a Lamborghini Huracan, I believe. And quite honestly, I don't usually get car sick, but the way that this car was being driven, unreal. Out. Day two was a very similar gig, but we had slightly different weather conditions. There was plenty of sprint races, all the same cars were going to be racing again, and the weather this time was much better. What was really interesting to see, this on pit lane, was that the drivers do like driver changes. So most teams have 2 drivers. It's compulsory for the drivers to change during the sprint distance. So in the longer distance racing, they kind of want to change, but in the shorter distance racing, you know, the drivers are not that cooked after like 25-30 minute stint, and they have to change. So we also got to stand at like multiple different points and see the racing on the podium. We got to be near the finish line. We also got to be like super high up on the top of the paddock. They've already invited us to another one in Valencia in a couple of weeks. We'll stay locked for that. But yeah, again, and I got to chat to different drivers. So one of them lives in Andorra, loves cycling. A lot of them like to cycle. A lot of them also like to play golf. They also like definitely athletes. The people getting into the cars are not unfit individuals. It's not easy to drive one of these vehicles. I mean, even to get to a stage where you can drive GT3, you know, you have to go through years and years of racing in different categories. There's loads of different steps that you have to take to get to just driving GT3. So it's not just, you know, you can just hop in one. They also have different categories within the racing. So they have gold, silver and bronze. This just depends on the level of the driver and where they're at. What's interesting, the cars all weigh the same, especially in the GT3 category, are limited so that their cars are all even as well. So some cars are actually depowered so that it's a more level playing field. Some cars are slightly better at different points in the course. So some of them are better in the corners, some of them are better on the straights. And so particularly on the Barcelona course, the Mercedes AMG cars were really, really quick. One of them had the most phenomenal livery, call it the Black Mamba. It was a German team. It was green, black. It was kind of like a Hulkish kind of car. It was so sick. I really liked the Lamborghinis as well. I thought they were super aggressive. The V10 on the Audi sounded absolutely amazing. It was a really interesting day. Thanks to all the drivers for explaining the things to me, especially Sandy. Shout out to him, really, really nice guy. For everybody that we met, Zach from Barwell was really interesting to chat to. Everybody was super nice to us. I'm so grateful for the experience, and I'd love to find a way to get myself into motorsports. I don't know how that's possible, but I grew up loving motorsports as a kid. This was just me being a kid in a candy store.
Okay, day 2 at the GT races.
Oh, there's one little thing.
Forbidden feelings, is that why you do it? Can't face my feelings, needing a healing, needing a healing, yeah. Forbidden feelings, is that why you do it? Can't face my feelings, needing a
Oh, there's one little
healing, needing a healing.
Hopefully we can record another one of these a day at the races. Follow, like for more of these kind of gigs, more off-season side quests. Let's get it. I think that's enough though.